Hello and welcome to Music Box. My name is Malik, and each and every month I sit down and talk to amazing musicians about the music they make, their life, work, and hobbies while we don't doodle jam. And this week I have the one, the only Hansel Romero from the band Nightlife. How are you doing? It's been a hot minute.
It's been a minute. No, I'm doing well. I'm glad that we're able to catch up. And we got a
No,
little
for
bit
real.
going in the beginning, but nice to see you.
No, yeah. Oh no, that's the funny thing. We got like super casual. Like we're just like, yo, I mean, we're chill. We talk, we hang out. But it was real funny just to be like, oh yeah, hey, like, and just like getting into the vibe of it. It was like a moment where I had to be like, don't ask too many questions. And
Gotta
like
save
that's
a
like the
little bit.
balance. No, but it's the new EP just came out. I mean, how do you feel about just like reception, like off the bat?
Oh man, I mean, I can't ever be anything but grateful. It's so cool. Like, I know it's the same for everybody, but for real, to have waited so long for people to care about something that I made musically is paying off in such a great way. Just anybody that says that they like it, anybody that listens, it always just feels the same. It's so cool. Maybe it'll
No,
wear off eventually, but I'm just glad to be here.
absolutely no. And the thing about it is, I don't know. It's just I can't explain it. There's just something that's just so amazing about the sound of just like the horns. And I love that them just like the horns. Like I can imagine the performance. Like I can imagine Nightlife the band like performing in front of me. Like it's like that sort of energy, or I can feel it, and I absolutely love it. No fucking pleasure.
Yeah.
No fucking
What about it? Oh my god.
The
My baby.
synths in the background, like yeah, no, I feel bad because like typically I'm like, okay, let me have a format, and like I have all these questions, and I'm just like, fuck the format real quick. I want to like make sure you get your flowers because this again, like you and the guy, like the rest of the band, did amazing with this.
Thank you so much. That yeah, I love that song. I love the whole EP, obviously, but yeah, thank you.
No, for sure. And now for real questions,
Mm.
you talked a little bit about it being like a gap. It's been about a year since like the first EP. And you mentioned like wanting to keep things busy in terms of like and still kind of engaging. And one thing I remember you doing, and I remember I think it was like once or twice, were these little ARGs.
Yeah.
And so I mean I had to ask like where did the idea to come up to do like fun little ARGs to be like, hey, especially the fucking like Google Drive one, because I remember that, and I was on a train with the worst Wi-Fi ever trying to figure this out because I think
No.
there was
Oh,
a limit. I think it was like the first 30 people got like the like to hear like the new track. I think it was like Nightlife type beat, if I
yeah, it was
remember.
a way early version of Nightlife Type Beat. Wow,
And
to
so
try to do that with bad Wi-Fi. Nope. Oh man, I'm sorry.
I did it, but my question is, how did the idea come up? And then also, how long did that shit take?
That took. So I planned it out in my notebook at work in one morning, and then the following morning, also at work, I just did it and made it in Google Drive and all that, and did kind of everything then. So maybe, I don't know, 6 hours, something like that. But the idea, I mean, first, I just wanted to see if there was a way to get people to feel like they wanted to interact. Because on some place like Twitter, it's like, I mean, every social media, it's hard to get people to do something that goes off of the app. That's kind of what the point of the app is, um, to keep you there. So I don't know. I was always interested in trying to find ways to make people feel like they could participate and like do something if you're going to get them off the app. Like, they're doing you that favor, so you may as well reward them with some fun, some goofiness, whatever it might be. So that was one way to do that. And it's all kind of like a precursor to like one day I really, for a Halloween thing, I definitely want to do like a whole full ARG kind of situation with like analog horror, like scenarios set up and like some lore, whatever it might be. But I guess the more shortest answer after all of that is YouTube, because there's so many cool like analog horror videos and stuff on YouTube. The whole genre is really neat.
No, for sure. Is there any one in particular that inspired you that you're like, hell yeah, or like any ones that you're just keeping up with?
Ah man, not that I'm keeping up with now, but there was one that was covered by a channel called Nexpo, and I can't remember what it was called, but it had a whole video game interactive part to it and everything. And that's the thing, I think, with ARGs and analog horror and whatever. The parts that they branch off and make it feel real are always the coolest and creepiest things. So yeah, I don't know. I like that. It's really neat.
I feel you. I'm trying to figure out how a band like, because I feel like it can definitely be done, but doing like a creepy one as a band.
with like a music video component, which I hadn't even considered, it'd be interesting. It'd be very difficult, but I don't know. Maybe it can be done.
Also with gaps, I mean, so the first EP came out in July 2021.
Mm-hmm.
We are currently in August 2022. So I wanted to ask a little bit in terms of just like changes. We talked a little bit about before, like what was up, what has been changing in your life. But for a more like audience facing, like what's something, I have like a two-parter. What's something that changed with the band Nightlife that you expected and you didn't expect in between New Low and Fallback?
Got you. Before New Low happened, there was no way I could have predicted, or any of us could have predicted, what would have happened after, which was a lot of industry attention and stuff, which was very cool but very overwhelming. So much so that I think we got caught up with the manager and all this stuff, and they ended up kind of taking us around the loop a little bit with industry bureaucracy, asking for a lot of music, this, that, kind of just. It's not that like it was their fault that the process got disrupted, but it wasn't something that we'd ever done before as a band or individually to kind of try to produce music at that rate. So it got us off of our path, so to speak, or whatever we were comfortable with and doing. So I definitely didn't expect all that to happen, and thus we kind of got slowed out and distracted. And I personally had this whole existential era where I had to figure out what I wanted us to sound like and what that meant, what it means to be making music for the project, all that stuff. We came out on top, came out a happy, healthy band with a mission kind of thing, but it was a lot of anxiety and a lot of delay. So I'm not looking forward to how much delay might get in the way with more industry stuff going forward, but to at least know that that can happen and how to avoid it maybe a little bit in the future is nice. So I guess I didn't expect that. What I did expect was for us to eventually figure out our mission and kind of go back to having fun making music. And we did eventually kind of get to that point finally. So, yeah, I would say I expected us to get better, remember our mission, to continue having fun, and make sure that that stands above else.
No, absolutely. Because the thing about it is, from the Twitter, from the music, from just what I've heard from other interviews, I listened to the Good Noise podcast episode. Shout out to them too.
They're lovely. Shout out.
They're amazing. Like, and I remember there was like a little quote where you were mentioning, just one of your bandmates was like, "Hey, like, are you still having fun?" And like, I feel like fun has been something that's been a big aspect of just the band, and it's something you can feel when you hear it, of just something that's like so polished, so refined, but is still at the end of the day fun.
Yeah, I'm glad, because that's frankly where the identity is going to come from. It's easy to forget that, so that's cool.
Absolutely. I mean, so I wanted to ask and just kind of like pan out a little bit. I know that you were singing on these songs for a while. I mean, what was the process of refining them? Because these are songs that you've written, I remember, I think you said like right after New Low. How do you get them to the point where they're written already and they're kind of in a place where you're like, hey, I feel like it's solid and ready to go, to what we heard when it just came out?
Oh, it's arduous and gonna get shorter as we figure it out, but it's varied for each song. Like Fool Me Once technically has a lifespan of like since last March, like March of 2021, before New Low happened. And technically, and has took a whole like mountain of attempts and structures and stuff to get that one to the way that we like it, which is so weird. Feels more like a puzzle than anything else, but like obviously I love it and how it turned out. But to that end, yeah, most of the songs were done probably like in February, and when I say done, that means like vocals are written, the instrumental is pretty much produced and set and or recorded at that point with Julian and extra stuff and Isaiah in there for some consultation on the drums. And then from there, I have to kind of take what we recorded, mix it, master it, and take it through that process. I started the post-pro in April, and it's almost like I redid it all, like in June, I think it was. And then by that point, I'd started to get final mixes of like, obviously, Type Beat and Fallback were done. And then these kind of came together over the course of the next month. I think I finished them August 13th or something. And then I submitted them the next day for release the 26th. So, it's fine. I guess that is all to say. It takes a long time. It takes too long. The good news is that I do have fun doing that part too, but it really does has to get a little bit shorter so that we can just make more moments happen. It's not even about making more music. It's just giving the opportunity to make more cool moments more.
No, for sure. And so, I mean, when it comes to like having these moments, I want to ask, are like how many songs and I feel like this might be like a sensitive one, so feel free to like answer how you choose.
Fair.
But when you're making these moments, so like when you're working on Fallback, how many songs are you walking into this EP and saying, okay, and how do you choose, okay, I want to curate this energy, or this is what we want to tell people as the band Nightlife in 2022? Like, how do you craft that from the bigger piece of the puzzle, or the bigger chisel?
No, that makes sense. For these, and usually it turns that I start the demo or something, just producing something in my room one morning or whatever, and then I bring it to Julian at some point after that, pretty soon. And if when we're putting his stuff together on it and kind of making the greater structure of the song, it kind of feels like magic to an extent. And that's obviously like can't describe, that's a subjective. But if it feels like magic at any point, we're like, all right, this is something to think about, and we'll usually be excited about it at least at that point and want to work on it and keep doing that. So yeah, usually that. It's just me starting with an idea, bringing it, and if us putting our minds together makes it something greater, then we're like, yeah, okay, let's see where this goes. And that happened like 15 times, I would say. Maybe 10, 12 around before we got these 5. Yeah, put it around 10 or 12.
No, for sure. And I'm trying to think where I want to go from there, because I feel like the next thing is just like the cycle of just promoting something from there, and like now saying, okay, like the imagery of the EP. So I mean, I'm just like, you have the music video now, which is like another big step for the band. And so I mean, what visually did you want to say? Is there anything visual aspect on top of that did you want to like represent with this as well?
Absolutely. I mean, what's fun is that the original photo shoot, the video, and the video photo shoot all have different vibes, and they all do come back. And the same way that the songs on the EP do, they all have different vibes. They all come together still to kind of span a few decades and just be like, this is music. This is pop music.
Now that's what I call
Pop music. But visually, yeah, I think we have the photo shoot that looks a little bit more modern, futuristic even. The video looks very retro because of the 2 sites that we chose. And then the one part of the video is in a very nice house that was here in Baltimore, very classy. So putting all those together, kind of, I guess it's not really coordinated at this point, but as with what's happened so far, with us just in general, like there's not usually a plan, and then it all comes together like, oh wow, these 5 songs sound together like a story. Oh, this video kind of makes sense now, and these visuals kind of make sense if you connect them with XYZ. So maybe as we learn more, we're going to become more deliberate about it, but happy accidents and some planning go a long way.
No, for sure. I'm not gonna lie. There have been a lot of times I've looked at the visuals and I was like, oh shit, this is like, because you could have honestly fooled me. Yeah. There are some times I've been like, oh damn, like you're coming in with a vision, you're coming in with like everything, saying you're just like, we had this set up, and we figured it out.
Yep, it's not, like I said, some planning and a lot of happy accidents.
No, for sure. I wanted to touch on a point you just mentioned a little bit earlier in that answer, which is like different decades. So I remember listening to the Good Noise podcast interview, yeah, and you mentioning that like one of the inspirations or one of the things that you were like noticing when you're looking at this EP were why are people going back to the 80s, and just like that aspect of, okay, like why are we looking there? Why are we like, and what does that say for people? And you in that answer you mentioned that like you're kind of pulling from different decades and different eras. Why does the idea of like picking what, like not ideas but like concepts and like overarching themes and like combining it into this current, what Nightlife is currently doing? How does different decades and different eras, and like what they do kind of influence how you output stuff?
Yeah, good question. I think we have the benefit of retrospect and the benefit of
Mm.
foresight to that regard. We're able to kind of see, if we look back at stuff from the 80s, what we remember, especially those of us that weren't there, for example, are the things that are timeless. Be that, the visuals of Bad by Michael Jackson, that whole like era, Thriller era, etc., whatever. What we take back about synthwave and just the whole aesthetic of synth pop. It's just interesting that we're able to know what stayed. So
Yeah.
when you are looking back like that, you have the benefit of knowing, of pulling from things that were timeless, like I said, that are good, that you could just pull from whenever. But you also have the ability to kind of explore within there because of that. You kind of, I don't know, I guess we just want to use that advantage. And it's not that not enough bands, but not enough artists in our part of the world right now are kind of pulling back from that kind of stuff, or pulling back from things that are a bit more universal. I think that they will absolutely going forward. Like I said earlier, I was talking to you, listen to our radio. Like, there are a lot of good bands right now that are pulling from a lot of cool things, but we'll get there. And it all kind of ties together to that. Why are we going back there? All of us. What are we all looking for?
For sure.
So,
I mean, you said, why do you think of bands might hold back from like wanting to explore that and like touching those elements?
I'm not gonna lie to you. I need you to repeat that because there's somebody outside my window blasting the gnarliest reggaeton,
Yeah,
and
no, you're good.
it is unprecedentedly loud. But you might even be able to hear it on mic if you can.
No,
press
I can
this.
hear it though, so you're all good. Like, you don't have to apologize.
That's
I
so
wanted to
funny.
say, what made you? Well, not make. What made you? Why do you think certain bands might hesitate to like go back and look at things that are more timeless and want to play and experiment with those areas?
Right. Thank you. Yeah. I mean, I guess it's just you when you develop your own, like the 2010s, especially in like alt music, I would say, and I can only speak so much for like one side of it, but there was a distinct sound by the end of it. The tens kind of became metalcore. You knew what that sounded like. Emo rap, you knew what that sounded like. Like even pop punk toward the end of it, it's a very 2020s thing now, but you knew what that sounded like. I think that we're looking for something a little bit more now because we've been able to watch the meta experience of watching a culture develop, watching a sound develop, and understand in real time that it's happening because of experiencing it globally on the internet and all that stuff. So I think with every decade that we have the internet, the more meta this stuff is going to get. And as such, like we are now looking for going back. We're like, okay, we have a culture, it'll happen, but why don't we fill it up with influences if we already know what's going to happen? Why don't we look back for timeless inspiration, etc.?
No, for sure. And I feel like this is like kind of full circle with us talking about just like ARGs, because it's looking at these elements that can be so rooted, like the old vintage TV with the static and all these different elements. Like, it feels so, and I mean, like you said, with different genres, it feels so like there's so much room to be able to like explore and play with things that even like back then are just like natures of like, hey, limitations, like 808s, like people are like, oh, hey, like this is all we had, so let's just use this. And now it's just, no, this is a stylistic choice now. And this is, I'm pulling from this era, I'm calling from this. And it is like, I do see what you mean, where I feel like back when we were like, when pioneering ideas first started back in like eras we call back to, it was out of necessity, and now it's more out of like, I'm trying to tell something. And I think that's where you get bands who are doing like fusions now, because I feel like it's either retread or it's like, hey, experiment with new ideas, and you get things like soul punk.
Yeah, there's an appreciation. You're absolutely right. And I also think that people are realizing that even just updating old sounds with newer technology can be cool. Like, can already make something that's neat and even new, So, yeah, it's just an exciting time, I think.
I mean, that's fair. And that's like, it's exciting because also now I feel like even now more than ever, it's just, I am so excited to see what music output can look like. And like, granted, it sucks because there are so many bands I would love to see on tour, and I would love to like be able to get like a more solid output, but like, it's like a trade-off of, hey, I want someone to explore, and I want a group of people to explore something that's really interesting and really exciting that like they wouldn't have been able to make if it wasn't for like the internet or being able to have the room to do things, versus, hey, okay, go to a major label, pump out an album, go on tour. Because like I feel like it gives you not just different sounds, but I think different topics. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like we're also, I think we mentioned it before, like in like the last interview we did, but like just people of color being able to like have like a place where it's like, no, fuck you, this is my place at the table.
Mm-hmm.
And like we've always been here, but like being able to do that and carve out that space has been amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it helps that there's certain things that are quote unquote in vogue and this or that, but you get the opportunity, you take it, and new voices are being appreciated right now as they should be because the new perspectives that they bring are all insane. There's all the best, my favorite and the best bands right now are the ones that have that different perspective going for them, whether it is the bassist who's black or the front person who's Indian or whatever it is. It's just all very interesting.
For sure. I want to ask about producing. So,
Mm.
how, like, on top of all the stuff that's been happening with Nightlife, how's the producing front been going?
It's been going pretty well. I mean, what's funny is that there's a couple projects that, like, my little brother's just came out. And that, I think I'd worked on 6 songs of his, and that had been around for a while. And there's another metalcore band whose EP I finished another 6 songs for, like, at the beginning of the year. And that I don't think they're putting out until the end of this year, which is interesting. But it's been good. There's a lot going on behind the scenes. I'm still getting to work with some of my friends who I think are really neat. Working on just getting better, making sure that I learn how to make music sound better. It's not that I have higher standards or anything now or anything like that. It's more like I feel like I can feel closer to the people that I looked up to. So it may as well try to do the things and do the work to close the gap. So yeah, I mean, that's always been what the opportunity to produce other people's music has been for me. That opportunity to not only make something special for them, but also just practice getting better and making and communicating through music.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think of the next question because
No, you
I
good.
love that answer, and just being able to like work on like additional people. Oh shit, here it is. So yeah, we'll figure out another Zoom real quick. But
All good.
I think then I'll ask this question and then we'll like figure out another Zoom real quick. But what I mean, what's the biggest thing that you feel like you've learned from this like this most recent stuff you've round up things you produced over this last year that like influenced this new EP?
Oh man. Just how to get it doesn't it almost doesn't show that much in the EP, I don't think. Well, maybe in Fallback and Night, I don't know, we'll see. Guitars. They've always been a mystery for me, production and mixing wise. So I just like I'm learning how to make them sound bigger, more present. Um and I making moments more impactful by making the mixes more dynamic, which is it just involves a lot of what's called automation, which is just moving volumes up and down, effects up and down, this or that. Things that I'd been, frankly, too lazy to really get too involved in before, but it makes everything that much more dynamic and cool. So, a lot.
Absolutely, and it's like you notice that a lot. I've seen like I remember I was listening to something actually today where it was someone showing a demo, and they had Butch Walker for like a joke track, like Butch Walker like go and mix it,
Wow.
and then you heard like the difference, and it's night and day. And I think sometimes people forget like how much like producing and how much mixing like adds to the aura and energy of something. Because I was like, oh shit, like I forget, like it's not you don't just plug something in and just sing or play something. Like it takes a lot of work to like
Yeah.
find that tone and find that sound.
You change and mold sounds. Truly. It is the art of sculpting what you hear. And it's so beautiful. I'll never not love it. It's just so cool to me that you can take the things that I've listened to for decades now and just like make things sound that way, Control exactly how things sound. It's nuts.
For sure. And so speaking of controlling how things sound, this was like a interesting question I have, because like when I was listening to Fallback, the one thing that came to mind is and I mentioned it earlier in the interview, I can imagine what the Nightlife like live performance or live tour would be. if you had like an unlimited budget, unlimited funds, unlimited means, and you're like, and it's like, yo, nightlife show, what does that look like?
Wow, that is the dream, frankly, and we'll get there. But like, it would be obviously us, the three boys, doing the thing. There would be another guitarist as well, thankfully. Three backup singers, a horn section of 3 or 4, including my older and younger brother, either on either of their instruments. They would rip. Jer from Cartoon Network would be on trombone if that's possible, because they're absolutely amazing at that, among other things. And visually, a dress code, optional dress code. You can't make people do anything, but
I mean, Bruno Mars and Anderson .Paak made everyone put away their phones. Anything is possible.
Oh well, that's nuts. I would not do that, but I would definitely be like, all right, show up in your Sunday best. Why not? And we would also be dressed real nice and everything. It could be like an evening with us kind of situation, with a dance pit and with a push pit, all the above. So, I guess, I mean, you know, you're talking about unlimited funds, this, that, like it gets into lighting and it gets into that, and that, but I don't know enough about that yet. I just know that it'd be a very nice light show, and that's expensive. And the big thing for me is making sure that we can hire singers and horn players to play with us and travel with us if that's ever going to be possible. Excuse me. Wait, if that ever becomes possible.
No, for sure. And that, and like you hit the nail on the head. I felt like backup singers, like horns, like it just, all that feels like so intrinsic to the sound. I feel like it can be done on like a general tour, but I feel like just if someone was able to, like, I mean, one day I was able to be like, hey, fuck it, here's all this money, go do this tour.
It would be the dream.
I would. But yeah, no, I feel like I like the same things you're saying, like they were calling to me when I was listening to the EP.
That's awesome. I'm glad that it translates like that. That is certainly the vision. I was always trying to think ahead to the live show at least a little bit.
So in the old show, what we had this running joke where I would not joke, but I would go on people's Twitters and I would bring up the receipts and be like, okay, you said this on Twitter. You now need to speak for your actions with someone staring you in the face. And I wasn't going to do it. I was going to be kind. I did a soft run for, I was like, hey, let me get some tweets. And you were like, yo, where are the Twitter receipts? I'm like, okay, if you want the Twitter receipts, I got the Twitter receipts.
Sheesh. No, I mean, I love the bit. I can't say I'm excited, but I had to bring it up. I love the bit.
Okay, so I mean, I got 2.
Let's go.
So, Nightlife is self-produced, so the label money can go right to tattoos, and that's that. When I suddenly show up on the timeline with 5 tattoos, y'all know it's good.
Facts.
Where are the tattoos? Well, what tattoo ideas you got?
I'm still at a fresh 0, if y'all can believe it, which disappoints me to this day. But yeah, no. Once it shoots up to like 5, 7, something like that, 3, just y'all know, y'all know.
You know. What tattoo idea you got? Because right now I'm getting my first tattoo in like 2 weeks.
Oh, congrats. Well, I equally curious what yours is, frankly, but I just want some lines and patterns to start, honestly. I want to end up with a sleeve on my right arm, if not both, but I think I need to start with like lines and patterns to keep it simple, because I really like those, and I think that would aesthetically please me.
I feel you.
But what about you? What's your first idea?
So I have 2, and both of them are My Chemical Romance related.
Oh, hell yeah.
So I'm gonna go see MCR in 2 weeks with some friends I've known for like years on the internet.
Wow.
Like I've seen like people go to college, grow up, like all this stuff, and so all of us are going to the show. So we're like, it's a small group of us because it's like a big group. 4 of us are gonna go get a tattoo to kind of commemorate the occasion.
Wow.
And so we're getting like the fly and swarm.
Nice.
Like somewhere. I think that's the consensus.
Wow, that's gonna be so cool.
And the other idea was a ray gun from Danger Days with the future is bulletproof with like 4 like lightning bolts like popping out of it.
Oh, that's awesome. I love both of those.
And so those are my ideas.
I love it.
Would you ever get a tattoo of a band or an artist or anything related to a musician?
Absolutely. The one thing that hasn't left, even as I've listened to them less, is that I do want the Loudest Beat flower on me somewhere. It was like a cliche back in like 2013, 2014 or whatever. I want that shit. I want a rose on my body. And I want to be like oh, that's a nice flower or whatever. I'll be like, is it? Is it? Can I still get into heaven if I kill myself? Is it? Just drop it
Just
immediately.
drop it,
Know
drop it
that
on
I'm
there.
emo from the start. You gotta go.
Listen, you gotta. It's a marker. You gotta have something to be like. Listen, I have. This is the energy I'm walking into any environment with
Yep,
from
there is a
day
rain
one.
cloud over me, no matter what. Okay, you need to know.
I'm like, out. Now that I think about it, now do I want to fly? That's just like, yo, I gotta fly over me. It's a swarm. What you gonna do about it?
Maybe you're the swarm.
Would 3 other people get in it though?
Exactly.
Okay, we the swarm. Okay,
Yeah.
that's
Gotta
the
think
group chat
big.
name. Got you. So second tweet.
Mm.
I don't know what's punk about these guys. Valid, but my good. Have you ever heard of a band called Talking Heads? So I mean, what happened? I mean, I'm assuming people were popping off at the mouth and you had to talk. What happened?
We get a lot of. We don't get a lot of negative criticism at all, which is frankly a blessing and a curse, obviously, because I'm not ready for it when it happens eventually. But the criticism that we do get all the time is like, I don't know what's punk about these guys, because other people will put us in context as well as we will too. Be like, this is a punk band, this is a metal band, this is a heavy band, this is whatever, and they'll be like, I don't get what's so punk about these guys, especially like that is the one thing that comes up all the time. Even to the point that like Fantano didn't outright say it, but like he was kind of saying like, what's so punk about these guys in like
Yeah.
not so many terms. And to me, I mean, I just think back to bands like Talking Heads, to bands like Death, to bands like even Black Flag and what they were doing with like their sludge metal and stuff in the mid 80s. Like, I don't know, punk used to be fun too, and upbeat, and maybe not as polished per se, sure, but punk could be fun and dancey
Yeah.
and all that stuff. So yeah,
Like you can still be like, fuck all this shit that's happening, and still be like, I'm gonna look fucking fly. I'm gonna sound
why
it.
not? It
Exactly.
it's all about the ethos, and I do hope to be more punk with what I end up writing about going forward and stuff, for lack of better phrasing, because that sounds lame as hell said out loud. But yeah, as I get better at lyrics, I hope to actually use my voice, and what's more punk than that?
Absolutely. And so, I have a question, which is kind of tying back to the larger idea of the main show, which is creative block.
Mm.
And the big question is, when you're sitting down and you're trying to work on something, be it producing or trying to work on a new track and see where that feeling goes and trying to find that magic, what do you do to break through creative block?
Oh man, when I'm absolutely stuck and I have nothing going and I can't think of something, I will go back to a song that I really like from usually about 5 to 10 years ago, and just try to recreate it as a map. Like literally, I'll map it out in Logic. I'll have it so that it's laid out exactly the structure, same thing, and I will either make the song exactly as I hear it or make my own version of it from there, and just kind of steal it in that regard. That always helps me get back to like, oh wow, I can make sounds. That's cool. I can hear something and make it, for as little as I do that on purpose when I'm trying to, kind of thing. That's one way. And then the other is I try to listen to a lot of new stuff, and I kind of gotten off of it a little bit this year insofar as like I've been listening to new stuff from around music, but I haven't been in alt enough, to be honest. I've been like everywhere but alt for the past year. So I need to come back, and that's kind of what I was saying earlier about our fallback radio today and everything. Like, I need to reconnect, see what everybody else is up to, and see how we slot into that, and just do it our way too.
Sick. And I mean, so that idea where you listen to a song and try to remake it, how did you come up with that idea?
It's something that I used to do as a teenager in Guitar Pro, which is like a tab program that kind of worked as a DAW back then. And I would just like, when I was writing songs, I would either make them based off of another one or just copy a song outright and make the instrumental. And those songs never ended up happening or being anything, so they were just practice in the end, which is cool. I guess that's where it started. But everybody I look up to emphasizes that you have to steal to be a good artist. and that is not like that. There's no budging on that. Obviously, stealing in music, you have to do it in a respectful way, and there are ways that can be disrespectful. But so long as you are respectful of where you're getting your things from, like stealing is the best way to create what you are and to find out who you are. I had this insistence that I had to be so original for so long. For what? So I don't know. My little brother at one point finally was like, "Yo, I just do these maps where me and my friends just recreate these songs, literally bar for bar, note for note, from scratch, and then we just rap insidious stuff over it because that's what we do. Now he's 21, but we're kids, and that's what we do to hang out." So I was like, "Damn, and you're getting a lot better. All right, well, I guess I need to go back to doing maps." So here we are. I've done like 6 or so since I said that.
Sick. And look at that. Those tweets were harmless.
They were. That was really kind.
Yeah, no. That's like I said, I wasn't and I mean, I never did that to be like, gotcha. I mean, there were some where I was just like, yo, okay, this is going to be funny.
Nah, you pulled it out last time. It was dope. That was nice.
I didn't want to be the Nardwuar of like, I mean, I kind of do. Of Nardwuar of just like Twitter, of just like, okay, hello, we have to know.
Where'd you find that?
Belt.
Man, no, I've seen some crazy Nardwuar interviews too. So that would be mind-blowing, probably.
So which one's your favorite Nardwuar interview?
Oh, JPEG Mafia, easily. Just because that one, I think it's not his first time JPEG with him.
Yeah.
So he's ready and prepared, and he just goes bar for bar for him. With everything weird that he pulls out, he's just going right back at him, which is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like my answer is going to be real, just kind of like, okay, that's fair. But like the Tyler the Creator interviews.
Oh, they're all so fun. Always.
Like it's all good.
It's always, I mean, again, just to Nardwuar's credit, you can always pull out the wildest stuff from people's past. I think the Tyler ones are some of the wildest for real.
It's like, honestly, it's like one of those things where you sit down and you're just like, I'm never going to be that person. But if I can pull some information or some way to do something like wild, and like, I mean, just full circle, like if you pull from what you can. Granted, I'm not going to be DMing your brother to be like, yo, I'm interviewing.
Give me the skinny. Give me the tweets. Somebody could DM my little brother and ask him for the first YouTube video we ever made, which I think was in 2006 or something. Or 2008. Somebody will, and can ask him for that, and he can find it and will give it to you. I don't know how to find it. He does.
Okay. I'm down to do it, but I feel like I also have to let something off my chest and be a little incriminating too.
Fair.
Because if you're revealing something, I gotta reveal something. I have a cover of me and my roommate singing "House of the Rising Sun" for our first band.
Oh, awesome!
That we did. And originally we were gonna do it faithfully, and then his sister was like, "This is boring. Speed it up." So there is a sped up, like punky House of the Rising Sun, with me like doing. I have a soul voice because I'm 17.
Oh wow, let's go.
So that's the trade. That's the deal.
Fine.
If your first video comes out, I will tweet a link. I don't think anyone will care, to be quite honest.
But you'll just be like, "It's okay, dog. It happens to the best of us." Here you go.
Yeah. I will stand in solidarity with you, but no, like I'm gonna be honest, more people will be looking at yours than mine.
Either way, it'll happen. I'm sure it will.
That's fair. So, you mentioned a little bit earlier on like looking for different bands and different artists and trying to keep up with what's going on. Who are some people that you're listening to right now? You're just like, fuck, they're doing amazing.
Ah, man. In our scene specifically, there's this band, Good Boy Daisy, which is really sweet. They're from LA, like a pair of twins, I believe. Really neat, really cool stuff. Along that vein, Soft Cult, they're like a very cool grunge shoegaze kind of duo. They're awesome. Pink Shift's new stuff is incredible. Will Yep is knocking it out of the park and then some. So every time one of their songs comes on, I'm like, God damn, the guitars are so loud. How did he do that? It's awesome. And then finally Dayseeker, actually. I fell off of them for a few years, but I've always liked the couple of their more popular songs in the recent years, and they've been putting out a couple that are really neat lately. So gotta keep up. Gotta get us up there too, because these are some good bands.
It's like you got there in no time. You're gonna again like this EP and like the stuff you've been doing and like just the ethos that the band like goes off of and just like it like you got it. You got
Hopefully. Just got to keep improving. I'm glad the hunger is back for one.
it. Yeah. So I got one more question.
Oh, okay.
And so what I do, because this is different now, because I got a roommate now, and to keep the peace, to be nice, I'm like, okay, hey, I'll do these interviews. I will give you the last question.
Ooh.
So I have the last question for my roommate.
Wow.
And the disclaimer is all the questions he's asked don't have anything to do with music.
Fair. That's good.
He's asked about favorite condiments. He's asked about favorite color of the sky. Both of those had long conversations.
Perfect.
So if you're ready, I got it for you.
Lay it on me.
If you were to roll a nat 20, like in D&D, what would it be for?
Oh no, can't answer that question. I have never played D&D. I have two separate people that are like getting campaigns set up for me now, so that I can actually get into it and understand what just happened. But unfortunately, in my current state, I can't answer. I'm gonna give it actually my best shot, but with that disclaimer. I rolled a nat 20 because my character had to assassinate the mayor of the town, and it didn't go so well. And then now their stats are back to nat 20.
You tried.
Killed it.
And okay, so I'd say nat 20 is like, okay, you did your best. Like, it's like, if you roll a nat 20, you're like, oh, you're nailing this. Or you're like, whatever you're going to do, it's like, you're doing it perfectly.
Wow.
But what he wanted to ask it was for, if there's anything you do in like your normal life, anything like you do as a person, what's like your nat 20? What's the shit that like you do and you're just like, no one can fucking touch me?
Oh, besides obviously some of the production stuff, I make this one specific sandwich that no one can touch me. I swear to God, I perfected it from what I used to get from Subway forever and ever for years and years and years. And it's just like a basic ass sandwich with cold cuts, and it's the right consistency of shredded lettuce to salt to oil to pepper ratio, and with the right bread, y'all, can't be touched. I'm sorry, it can't. Even my chef of a roommate said that it can't be touched, and I'd take that to my grave. You know what I mean?
So, I mean, we were talking about releasing music videos. Are we going to release the recipe, or is that like a trade secret?
Ooh, nah, I don't know if I can release it. I might do like a TikTok about it one day or something. Be like, if y'all could follow this is what I make for lunch like 3 times a week.
Listen, you got to keep content going. I'm not trying to pull content. So yeah, if you
it's a good idea. It's solid.
I don't think if you get like a penny from the creator fund, I want my fee.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you giving me that idea for free? I don't think so. Yeah.
Nah, listen, I'm a consultant. You know, this is the hack. Before I was just I'm a podcaster, and then I'm like, if you really want to blow, this is what you do. You get on TikTok.
There you go.
That's why I feel like all these like not all, a lot. Like I feel like there's some people who are like, they're like, you know how to make it big? Post on Twitter. You'll do great.
Just go post on Twitter. Just go on TikTok. They don't even say post on TikTok. So just go on TikTok. You'll figure it out.
TikTok. And I feel bad because we're posting more on TikTok. But Gene, I don't mean it that way.
You gotta do it. You gotta learn.
I mean, I think there's like a difference between like, hey, like there are people here, and so like, how can we engage with what we have? Mm-hmm. And then there's just people who are like, throw anything on there, it'll work.
Don't worry about it. Which, hey, it does for some people actually. So.
That's true. I mean, to it. You can be out here doing covers of It's Corn,
and then you get reposted on the Minions account like Julian from Loveless did because of said cover, which incredible. a Minions account repost, again, take that to your grave. That's amazing. No one can take that from you.
That's well, I mean, yeah, like there's like Grammy, Hall of Fame, Minions
repost specifically.
What is I know where like screw brands. What's the brand that you're like, if they shout me out, we're good? What brand like, let's do this right now. What brands you want
I mean, gotta say Minions too. Of course. That's just right up there. I'll give it to Vans for the other one because of the Pac stuff. Their stuff with Anderson and obviously the culture. And what's that? Just for fun, Liquid Death. Just for fun, because there's such a meme right now. Just like, yeah, whatever. Canned water. Let's go.
Just run into it. Yeah.
Shout me out. I'll make you memes. I don't know.
I feel like everyone. I'll make you a meme. I'll make a spicy
you content. Don't worry.
I'll make you a star.
Hate it.
But yeah, no, I feel like Liquid Death's like, if anyone's gonna do it, Liquid Death's the brand that would do it. I feel like.
Yeah, right. That seems attainable. So Liquid Death, y'all hearing this? I do drink. I got 2 water bottles on my desk right now. I be drinking water. Hit me up.
Yo, we stay hydrated in this.
So hydrated.
Music box.
My cellular walls, they are bulbous. They stay quite moist.
Yeah, you know, I heard bulbous and I was like, okay, yeah.
You know, like how your cell walls, when you drink a lot of water, if you drink too much, they can get like too fat and they could like burst and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I think I'm like right before that. We're like, it's just the cellular walls are just nice and rotund, you know?
Rotund.
Thick, if you will.
How many C's?
I would give it just 2. Don't worry about
Just
it.
2?
Just 2.
Okay.
If I go any further, I might be drinking too much water. I don't want my cells to burst.
And this is the perfect thing you can do in the post for Liquid Death.
Listen, the ad just wrote itself. Liquid Death, nightlife.mp3@gmail.com. You know where to find me.
Let's go. And with that, we are done. We got our ad out there. We got the CTA out there.
Wow.
Had the whole marketing plan. We got the reach.
For free 99, brand.
Exactly.
Bring it.
But no, with all that being said, I'm out of questions. Hansel, thank you so much for sitting down and talk with me. As always, it's such a pleasure.
No, it was so much fun. And thank you for being kinder with the tweets even. That was awesome.
Wait, I forgot what tweets I pulled from last time.
Oh man, I don't remember. You just made me stand on something very like, there are days. You know, we all have days. And I was like, that week, I guess I stood by it and I kept that tweet up and you pulled that one. And I was like, all right, let me stand on this right now because I have to. I gotta. This time was a little bit easier because I can stand on those with my 2 feet.
That's fair. I mean, that's fair. Listen, when you, I feel like the streets change when it's like, yo, there's someone out here being like, yo, come on the podcast. It'll be a good time. And I don't tell you about the tweet thing until like.
It's rogue. It's rogue in the best way.
Well, because I was like, oh, it might be a cute little idea. And then I think it was something where like there was a moment where people were like, I hit, I'm just like, oh shit. People are like, I really got to explain this in an interview where I'm talking about my inspiration, my influences, my career aspirations. And then you pull out I'm like, now what about this?
This is all you say, but what about who the real you is? Stare at yourself in the black mirror real quick.
I know there's what you want people to know for the industry and the sound, but there's a real person behind there. What the fuck what do they want?
Good point. See, you're describing